Hi everyone, welcome back to Science with Miss T. I am Miss T, and in today's video we are breaking down a classic grade 12 organic exam question. So grab your notebook and let's get right into it. Question 2.1 asks us for two important definitions. For 2.1, it asks us to define what is a hydrocarbon. A hydrocarbon is a compound that consists of carbon and hydrogen only. Please note, I emphasized only by writing it in capital letters. Make sure that you use the word only to get full marks, because other organic compounds also have hydrogen and carbon, but accompanied by other elements. So to distinguish hydrocarbons from other organic compounds, we say they only have carbon and hydrogen atoms. They don't have any other atoms in their structures. So hydrocarbons examples are going to be what? We're going to have your alkanes, and alkynes. So those three are hydrocarbons because they do not have any other atoms besides the atoms of carbon and hydrogen. Question 2.1.2 asks us to define what is a functional group. I chose this definition because it's the easiest to remember rather than the other one. Functional group is defined as an atom or group of atoms that determine the chemistry of a molecule. For example, if I have COH, I know that is an alcohol. It has its own chemistry, it has its own properties. Moving on to question 2.2, we need to identify molecules from the table based on their characteristics. So before you can answer this question, I require you to analyze your table, because your table is your friend in answering this question. So 2.2 says write down the letters that represent the following. 2.2.1 a hydrocarbon, 2.2.2 an ester, 2.2.3 carbonyl group, and 2.2.4 chain isomers. Remember, this one has what? Has only carbons and hydrogens. And this one is an ester. It has what? It has an oxygen in the middle between two carbons. This one is a carbonyl group. A carbonyl group means what? The carbon is bonded to an oxygen, and this one is said to be chain isomers. Let's discuss that at the end. This one only has what? Only has carbons and hydrogens, and it has single bonds. That makes it what? That makes it an alkane. And let's look at this. Pent3N. This tells me there's a double bond, but there's nothing else. So this is an alkene. This one, there's an OH present. That makes it what? That makes it an alcohol. And then D, 2-methyl proper. No, there's an alcohol also. And this one, it has a CO. It is a ketone. And this one, it has an O in the middle. Makes it an ester. So our answer for 2.2.1 is going to be what? It is going to be A and B. Which one is the ester? The ester is going to be F. For 2.2.3, a carbonyl group is a carbon double bonded to an oxygen. So we can see that answer is going to be E. For 2.2.4, they want us to find chain isomers. So first thing first, what are chain isomers? You can only have chain isomers for the same functional groups. If the functional group changes, then it is no longer a chain isomer, but a functional isomer. So for this one, I'm going to look at C and D because both of them are alcohols. I can't compare these two because they are different. Alkane, alkene, and this is a ketone and an ester. So I can't compare those two. So we are going to compare C and D. So let's draw the structure out for C. It is a carbon, hydrogen, hydrogen, C, OH, hydrogen, carbon, hydrogen, hydrogen, carbon, hydrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen. Okay, and then the second one, it says 3 because it's prop, and then on carbon number 2 we have a methyl, and we also have an alcohol. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons, 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons, and then the hydrogens 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Same applies here when you calculate it, 1 oxygen, 1 oxygen. So the answer for this question, it is going to be C and D. And look at the mark allocation. So this question said write down letter and then bracket S, and then they say hydrocarbon and they gave you 2 marks. So if you only wrote A, then you're going to forfeit the other mark. Same applies on this one. It is 2 marks. If you only wrote C or D, you're going to get 1 mark. So don't forget, chain isomers, the chain length changes and you end up having sort of a branch within a compound. Then you know it's chain isomers. Give the IUPAC name of the following compounds. Compound C, E, and F. To answer this question, you need to know your IUPAC rules. For me, this is how I do it. I find the functional group, and then I determine the longest chain, because the longest chain should include the functional group. That is why I start by locating the functional group. Once I have the functional group, then I go and locate the longest chain. Then after locating the longest chain, I have to number the chain in such a way that the functional group gets the lowest numbering possible. Once I have numbered the chain, then I have to locate and identify the substituents. Where are they positioned, the substituents, if they are there within a compound, and what are those substituents? Then I am going to write it down in this order. The location of the substituent, and remember, the substituents are written in alphabetical order when we're writing the name. The parent, meaning the longest chain that I have, the location of the functional group, and then the suffix, meaning the ending that tells me what the functional group is. I hope it's easy for you to understand that. So let's look at C. Can we draw it out to make life easy for ourselves? So remember I said what? Locate the functional group. It's then OH. Once we have the functional group, let's find the longest chain. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was easy. So we have to number this chain so that the functional group gets the lowest numbering. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Because if I start this side and I say 1, 2, 3, 4, then the OH does not have the lowest numbering. So this is the correct way of answering it. So this question is quite easy because there's no substituents, there's nothing. So we only have the parent chain, which is what? But. Remember your prefix. So our answer is going to be what? But. Ta. 2 dash ol. Butanol. That is our answer for C. 2.3.2, compound E. So for this one, remember we already located the functional group and we said this is a ketone and it's in carbon number 2. So because it has 3 carbons, it will be a pop. So the answer for E, it is going to be what? It's easy. It is going to be proper. No. That will be the answer for E. F. The structure is also drawn already for F. We just need to locate the functional group. So remember I said to you, the moment I see a carbon and an oxygen and a carbon within the structure, I automatically know that is an ester. And the ester is always made up of what? Of an alcohol and a carboxylic acid. Remember? So in order for us to answer this, we have to split. So let's look at our structure and do the splitting. So when I split it here, so this side with the carbon with a double bond to the oxygen, it gives us the side of the carboxylic acid, and this side gives us the side for the alcohol. So our carboxylic acid has 3 carbons, meaning it is going to be what? It is going to be propanoic acid. And this side, it has 2 carbons. It means it came from ethanol. So when we name our ester, the name or the parent name comes from the carboxylic acid. Our compound is going to be called ethyl from the ethanol. Propanoid. Propam came from the carboxylic acid, and the noid came from the fact that it's an ester. So for esters, the name ending is 8. We are almost at the end of our video. Let's look at 2.4. 2.4 asks us to write down the general formula for the following compounds. Compound E and F. So before we can write the general formula, we need to understand what is a general formula. General formula is a mathematical formula that represents the composition of an entire homogeneous series where the letter N represents the number of carbon atoms present in the molecule. So previously we identified that this is a ketone because of the C double bond oxygen in the middle is a ketone. So we know the general formula for a ketone, it is going to be CnH2nO. This is what we know already. But now let's say in an exam you forgot. So how would you go about it? Remember, the general formula helps you to get the molecular formula. But if you have a structural formula, you are able to find the molecular formula. Then you can work back to get a general formula. So for this compound, how many carbons do I have? I have 3 carbons. That means my N in this situation is 3. So when we're writing a general formula, we know this one is fixed. CnH2n. This part is fixed for all organic compounds. Keep that in mind. Then we know what? There must be an oxygen added somewhere. So before we can complete the rest of the general formula, let's look at the molecular formula for this compound. So it is going to be C3H. What? How many carbons are here? Sorry, how many hydrogens are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the number of hydrogens are going to be 6. And how many oxygens do I have? I have 1 oxygen. So if my N is 3, to get 6, it means it was 2 times 3. Nothing else was added here. So the last part that's remaining there is my oxygen. So this is the general formula for a ketone, in case you forgot how to memorize it. Let's look at F. Remember this part, we've already identified it as an ester. And from general knowledge, we know that an ester has a general formula CnH2nO2. This is the general formula for esters. So let's say we forgot. How are we going to do it? We're going to find the molecular formula for this compound, then work it back. So the molecular formula is going to be, I need to find my N. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't make a mistake and include the oxygen. So my N is 5. So when I write my general molecular formula, it's going to be C is equals to 5. H is going to be 10. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then what's left? I have 2 oxygens. So I'm going to have O2. Okay. So remember, if N is 5, to get 10, it means I had to do what? 2 times 5. And then the number of oxygen is 2. So with that, if I have this, I am able to get that. Just in case I forgot them. The last question. Give the structural formula of compound B and structural formula for the positional isomer of C. What is a structural formula? A structural formula shows which atoms are attached within the molecule. So for every carbon that I have within the chain, I get to see what is attached to the carbon. So with this one, compound B, we mentioned that pent is 5 carbons, and we mentioned that in is a double bond, and the 3 is telling us the location of the double bond. So it is going to be what? It's going to be 5 carbons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means my double bond is going to be on carbon number 3 there. And then the rest is going to be filled with hydrogens. So that is a structural formula. If they were asking you to write a condensed formula, what were you going to do? If they asked you to write the condensed formula, it was going to be C. The first C has 3 hydrogens, and then the second C has 2 hydrogen. The third C, remember, it has the double bond, so it has 1 hydrogen, and the C after it also has 1 hydrogen, and then the last C has 3 hydrogens. So that is a condensed formula for pen3N. So 2.5.2, they want us to draw the positional isomer of C. So what is a positional isomer? Positional isomers are compounds with the same molecular formula but different positions of a side chain, substituent, or functional group on the parent chain. Let's repeat it. Positional isomers are compounds with the same molecular formula but different positions of the side chain, substituent, or functional group on the parent chain. So now, before I can draw the positional isomer, I need to see the compound, the original compound that we are talking about. So they wanted us to draw for C, and C is given as a condensed formula. So we have to draw it as a structural formula. So it has how many carbons? It has 4 carbons. And on carbon number 2, we have the OH, and then the rest, it has hydrogens. Okay, so now the positional isomer means I am shifting the OH. So where am I going to shift it? The only position I can shift it to is this carbon or that carbon, so that it can be on carbon number 1. If I position it on this carbon, it is still going to be on carbon number 2. So there won't be any difference. So now let's shift. So it will be C, OH. And notice I am showing the bond between the oxygen and the hydrogen. Ooh, made a mistake here, sorry. So that is a positional isomer for compound C. One last thing that I need you guys to know for this part of the question is the names of the functional groups. They like asking them. So when you see an OH, know that it is a hydroxyl group. And when you see for the aldehydes, it's C, this part, that is your formyl group. And then for the ketone, the carbonyl group, it is C, this is for the carbonyl group for the ketones. And then we have the carboxyl. Please don't mistake the now for the zyl. For the carboxylic acid, we have the Cu. So what is happening here? C, O, H, and then double bond oxygen. Don't forget the bond that side. And then the last one, esters, it is Cu. So what is happening? C, O, C. And then we have bonds that side, and this side has the double bond oxygen, and that side. And remember, you must also know how to define a homologous series. How are we going to define it? A homologous series is a series of organic compounds that can be described by the same general formula where each member differs from the next by a CH2 group. If this video helped you understand organic chemistry better, make sure to like, comment, and share. Also, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.